Good morning, good morning. So welcome. Let's get into this. So if you followed my last pieces of content on Facebook over the last couple of days, I shared how one of my clients went from having a tattoo they regretted to doing a bunch of research on tattoo artists to luckily finding me, and then we gave him the tattoo of his dreams. Then I went back, and in the last piece of content, we went and shared, some of the most important things to do if you want to get a tattoo that you're going to love. And if you've been following my content, I've been sharing a lot of like the do's and the don'ts. Well, this is going to be a little different video. And before we get into it, I want you to drop a comment. If you're on the live video right now, looking at my eyes, I want you engaged. So there's a conversation, not me just talking to some weird fucking plastic phone. And I want you to drop a comment saying #savage. If you're watching the replay, which none of you guys are yet, but if you are, drop #cabbage. All right. And also let me know where you're tuning in from. I can't tell who's on here right now. So drop a comment. Love to see some familiar faces. So we're going to jump into this, guys. I'm sure there's some tattoo artists on here, and there's some tattoo clients. And this is going to be a beautiful conversation because some of you are going to get your little pussies chapped up right now because some of you are using outdated practices in your tattoo studio, and I'm about to expose them, all right? But it's for the better. So hopefully you're not like that, but if you are, step your motherfucking game up. So let's talk about this. What is the shady secret, the sketchy secret that most tattoo artists don't want you to know in your local area? Well, here's the deal. So to back up, we have to understand that the tattoo industry isn't as advanced as just about all these other industries out there that are a lot bigger. For example, most tattoo studios don't run advertisement. Why? Because the industry isn't big enough to where they actually need it for the most case until this point. Now we're getting to the point where, we're starting to get more competition, more studios, and we're actually realizing, hey, we need to push our message out there to bring in business, right? Well, if you got 5 artists in your studio and you're not paying for advertisement. See, by the way, this is not just in tattooing. This is in any business. The biggest problem with businesses and why they fail is because people that start businesses create this fancy, cool-looking spot, and then by the time it's all finished, because they're falling in love with their work and their environment and what they're creating as far as how it looks, not the experience, not the advertisement, because they're spending all the money in the wrong place. By the time they open the doors, nobody even gets to see all the hard work they put into it because they didn't create an advertising budget, all right? Advertising is just the guarantee that people are going to know about you. And Grant Cardone, he says it best. He says, the reason why any business struggles is one word, obscurity, which means not enough motherfuckers know about you. Everybody thinks everybody knows about them. In tattoo industry, it's really easy to get an ego and think you're this rock star badass that everybody knows you about the town. But guess what? You're not as big as you think you are, all right? I used to think that 5 years ago. Not as big as you think you are. There's many other people out there, and tattoo artists are getting forgotten by the day. I mean, 9 times out of 10 when I talk to somebody about their tattoos, I ask them, yo, who did your tattoo? Oh, I can't remember, just this one dude. If that one dude is you are failing, my friend. You are failing. No person should be getting a tattoo from you and forgetting who the fuck is putting something permanent on their body. Backing up to what we're talking about again. So, the sketchy rule. If we got 5 artists in a shop and we, as the provider for that studio, the shop owner, think about it like food, like a family, all right? If we have 5 artists in a studio and we got the same amount of food, the same plate of food as we did with 2 artists or 3 artists or no artists, because we're not spending advertising. If we're spending money on advertising, that's equivalent to buying more groceries for a bigger party, all right? We're buying more attention for a bigger team. Does that make sense? So for a studio that isn't paying for advertising, it's very unlikely that they have enough attention and exposure consistently to support a whole team. Unless they're spending advertising, it's not going to happen, all right? They might have some good ups and downs, but that's what tattoo artists seem to have as far as the normal experience of a tattoo studio nowadays, which is completely wrong. That's an example of being in a fucked off studio. Like, your studio should be running ads to support the team, period, all right? If they aren't doing that, here's the environment that it creates. And this is something that's not just my opinion. Okay, have you ever heard of the tattoo stigma? When you walk into a studio, how it creates this intimidating vibe. Where does that come from? It comes from a bunch of motherfuckers that are starving to pay their bills, and there's not enough business in the studio, and somebody walks in that has money and wants a tattoo, and then all of a sudden gets attacked by a bunch of tattoo artist sharks. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? All right? That's where the intimidating vibe comes from. And here is the sketchy rule, all right? Because of that situation, because a lot of people don't understand, hey, maybe I should just pay for advertising so that I can get these people up, so that there's not competition in my team, in my shop, because there shouldn't be. Rather than thinking that way, they just say, hey, let's just make it fair with each other. Let's just put everybody that comes into the studio in rotation, all right? The first person that comes in is mine. The second person is yours. Second person is yours. And that's how they make it fair, which works for the tattoo artist, right? They make it fair. Everybody gets the same amount of clientele based on the demand that they have. Now, the problem with this is it's a win for the artists, but it puts the customers lower, all right? And that is bad business, my friend. You are making it financially fair for your tattoo artists while putting somebody in the seat with the wrong artist from the get-go, because your rotation is not considering what their tattoo project is, why they want it, their personality, who they would vibe with, and everything. You see what I'm saying? So rather than putting you in with the artist that would do the best job and the best service for you, what happens is you get put in the rotation. And then, as a long-term relationship, this artist will tell you, hey, I'm well-rounded. I can do all your tattoos, refer all your business to me. And it's completely not true. They might be able to do some mediocre tattoos of all styles. But I have yet to date to find somebody that can do all styles at a high level to be considered specialized, all right? And so, with this whole rotation rule thing, what up, Leo, April, Carlos, Craig, Rick, Dakota? Man, we got a lot of people on here. What up, Tony? David? So, with this rotation rule thing, I just want to share a quick story. When I was working in Miami 10 years ago, I was working in a really good studio. I just finished a portrait. I just did the portrait. And somebody else walked in and they wanted a portrait. Well, I'm obsessed with portraits, so I wanted to do that portrait too. But at the same time, it wasn't my turn. I just finished the one. So this studio had the rotation rule, right? So who's up? The apprentice. This motherfucker did not even draw portraits. He ain't never tattooed one. Question, how do you think that tattoo came out? Go ahead and drop a comment below. I'm curious. I'll let you be the professional. All right. That dude's tattoo came out looking like his child looked like something off the fucking Goonies. And it's sad because who the hell wants to look down at, when somebody comes in and gets a portrait of their kid, especially if they're alive, whether they're alive or dead, doesn't matter. Like, that's a sensitive subject. And in this case, this guy, he had his kid with him. So he wanted to show his kid the face so that his kid could recognize it and think it's cool. Well, his kid didn't recognize it, all right? He didn't think it was cool. He laughed at it, all right? What a fucking embarrassing moment. And it wasn't the client's fault. It wasn't. He didn't know how to do no research. He just came in and trusted the studio, trusted the studio's business practices, and look what he got. Now, this is a very common thing. We all know that, all right? A lot of us tattoo artists are doing a cover-up a week because of stuff like this going on, all right? So that was, at that point, that's when I realized, man, this stuff's got to go. I am not standing up for this. And I had a lot to say about that. I got fired from that studio. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to create my own studio. And I'm going to create it differently. I don't give a fuck what people think. I ain't doing no fucking Pinterest tattoos. I'm going to do the style that I want, because I know when I'm doing a style that I want, I'm passionate as fuck. And that is contagious to the other person. They're going to fucking love it. And if I can get that, if I can bring that out and put artists that can do that light up when they're doing a style that they're most passionate about, if I can put them on my team to where when they come in contact with a client, they light the client up because they're passionate about the style. So no longer are any of us artists doing any of the stuff we don't want to do. We're not doing a rotation because we're running enough ads to have more than enough business where I got to turn ads off if there's too much business. And so it's like, it's completely different, completely flipped. Obviously, we have a different system, and this frustration of the rotation rule is what inspired it. More on that. We call it the Savage Matchmaker system. We're, the Matchmaker dating app. We are that for the tattoo studios, all right? The official, the one and only Savage Matchmaker. Moving forward, all right? This rotation rule, all right? Threw it away when I opened my studio. Don't stand for it. Doesn't work. It's not a win-win for both the clients and the artists. It's a win-loss. It's a win for the artists, loss for the clients, and actually, it's a loss for the artists too, because they don't get to do the styles they want to do. What up, Larry? What up, Carlos? Romy, what's good, man? So, moving forward from the rotation rule, all right? Let's talk about this one thing, all right? We're going to put the shift off of tattoo artists. We're going to put it on you motherfucking tattoo clients, all right? The hard heads, all right? The rebels, the misfits, usually the entrepreneurs, the marketers, the people that work for themselves, all right? The people, the control freaks. I'm talking to you, all right? Here is the biggest fucking mistake that I see you guys make, all right? You guys try to become too controlling in the fucking tattoo process, from designing to everything. Now, what I mean by that is this. I talk to people all the time, all right? I try to keep up with my conversations in my DM. I'm just way too fucking busy to deal with text. Anybody that actually knows me knows to call me if they want to really have a conversation. But when it comes to the people that I talk to in the DM about tattoos, man, it's frustrating. And it's frustrating because it's a lot like you guys are, you ever met the person that doesn't know jack shit about politics but has everything to say about politics? All right? I call those fucking retards, all right? They're talking about something that they have no qualifications, no wisdom about, but they're just doing it because it's the thing. They've fallen in line with the sheep in the world and the masses, and now they're just spewing vomit out of their mouth, all right? They have no expertise in the field that they're talking about when it comes to those politics. Now, but they think they do, all right? And I kind of see the same mindset with some entrepreneurs when it comes to tattoos. It's like they think they know what they want. They think they know how to do a tattoo. They think they know the styles. I relate it to somebody who's watched too many fucking episodes of Ink Master. By the way, Ink Master is scripted. It's bullshit. It came out, all right? If you think you learned something from about tattooing from Ink Master, all right, completely forget about everything you think you learned, because that shit is not the way that the real industry, the real tattooing goes, all right? And we got enough tattoo artists down here that I'm sure they can point out some of the rights and wrongs and the flaws if you reach out to them, or if they just want to drop them. But regardless how many tattoos you've had, understand every tattoo artist is different. And understand, like entrepreneurs and a lot of people, like I get that you guys want something that's yours. And if you're a boss of your company, you're usually the person that people got to ask. And you're the person that's got to make the decisions at the end of the day. But when it comes to getting a tattoo that you are going to love for the rest of your life, that's not how this works, all right? When you're working with Dax, you're going to sit in the seat and enjoy the motherfucking ride. Put your seatbelt on, dog. But don't try to drive my fucking car. That ain't how this works, all right? You're going to have to go find that middle of the mall tattoo artist that's going to fuck your shit up. And then come back to me for a cover-up if that's the type of process you want to go, all right? You ain't driving my fucking car. If we work together, all I need from you is the meaning. I need to know you, your personality and stuff. Once I know you, I know how to please you because my standards for my art, I can see things that you never will, all right? You haven't been doing this art since you were a 3-year-old, all right? What I see, what my standards are so much higher than you could ever have, than any of my clients could ever have, that it's like, that's why so many people, they just say, do what you want, Dax, because that's the way it's done. Now, understand this. When you become so hands-on with your tattoo project as a tattoo client, that you start to make your artist, you start to control your artist and take the freedom away. Understand, art and inspiration comes from freedom. When you close that gap, you get less talent, you get less skill. Like, you ain't getting the best of their capabilities. Artists need freedom to be able to do what they want to do. And as long as they know you and know the why and the story, it's going to line up with what you're going for. But you came to them for their style, you came to them for their expertise. And when you think that you know how things go and you've judged a situation before you've even had a consultation. See, that's the big problem in like when we're talking about a perfect example of this in the flesh. It's like when you're thinking about getting a tattoo and you've already assumed and judged and thought about what it's going to take when you haven't even fucking stopped by the studio, all right, you're going the wrong way, all right? You don't know what you're doing, all right? It's a lot like, of course it's your tattoo, and of course it's your body, but that doesn't mean you know how to work it best, all right? I teach women a lot about their bodies on the fucking weekly that they never would have known, all right? So it just goes to show that some people, what they think they know, they might not know, even if it's them and themselves and their career or their skin, they might not know the best way to handle business, all right? For example, if you're getting a surgery, you're not going to go in there and tell the surgeon where to make the cut, what to do, all that shit. You don't know. And same with tattooing. You might see a cool image, but tattooing is a lot deeper than that, all right? The execution of where to start, where to end, what to line, like all the art technical terms. I'm not going to confuse y'all, but all that stuff that you don't know about, there's a lot of it. And that stuff is the artist's expertise. So let them drive their own fucking vehicle, please, all right? And at the very least, if you don't know, like, don't judge the situation. If you haven't had a consultation, you don't fucking know what it's going to take to get done. You don't know what it's going to take to get done. You don't know how it can get done. You don't know when it can get done. And you don't know where it can get done. All right? You don't know anything. So everything that you're coming up with in your head, like I was talking to a buddy, and he said he needed cover-ups. But we never had a consultation. And we talked about having a consultation, but then he decided, hey man, I decided you're probably not the artist for these, I'm gonna do cover-ups and da-da-da-da. It's like, hold up, dude. Like, we haven't even had a consultation. You're already in the wrong, bro. And you're a good dude, but at the very least, a consultation, I'm gonna educate you on what's actually possible and what's not. I'm also going to point you in a direction, whether you come to me or not. I'm going to show you how to find a good cover-up artist because it's a completely different process and completely different research than actually going for another tattoo artist. For example, in a cover-up artist, you don't just, like, the typical person is going to just go look at cover-ups. And that's the wrong way to go about it because it's so easy to fucking manipulate artwork in Photoshop. And a lot of artists are doing that bullshit. It's so easy to make artwork look better in a picture than what it actually looks like in person. How many of you guys agree? all right? Drop a emoji, drop a fire emoji. Let's burn this motherfucker up. Burn Photoshop, man. So it's like, with so much ways to deceive people and motherfuckers brightening the colors, making their blacks blacker than fucking Wesley Snipes and shit, it's like, yo, that shit is not honest practices, all right? We gotta get back to the honest practices, because we're confusing fucking clients, we're giving them unrealistic expectations, and it's like, when it comes to cover-ups, the thing you actually need to do is you actually have to meet that person. And don't look at what their artwork looks like when it comes to cover-ups. I mean, of course, that's important. But what's more important is understanding what their actual process is to doing a cover-up, because that's where you're going to understand if they're an expert or not. If they're just going to slap a fucking tattoo over a cover-up, bullshit, all right? That's the wrong artist. That's an artist that doesn't know jack shit about cover-ups. If you want to go to the right person, they're probably going to go about it saying, all right, well, it's a mixture of kind of like camouflaging. We're going to first off, the tattoo has to be about 3 or 4 times the size of the first tattoo. That's non-negotiable. If you want a tattoo that isn't going to be able to tell that it was a cover-up, you got to go bigger now. You got to hide the old tattoo in the deep pockets, in the dark spots, maybe a dark blue, dark purple, or black, or whatever. You got to hide the tattoo in the shadows of the new tattoo, and then add a new tattoo that's more detailed, so that the eyes of the viewer are looking at the new tattoo and completely distracted from the other one. All right, it's kind of like the government and how they jerk us around. It's like when they start making rules, they're going to distract us, make us look this way while they're dealing with this law. But that's the process of a cover-up. It's a mixture of covering, camouflaging, and distracting. All right, and if your artist doesn't know that shit, you're probably going to the wrong one for a cover-up. All right, and this is just one example. See, there's so many styles, and if you're going to a specialized tattoo artist, this is going to be the difference of conversation quality when you're talking to them, is they're going to go into depth like this with cover-ups, with realism, if they're a traditional artist, if they're a Japanese artist, regardless what artist, if they are actually a specialized and experienced to the level where you can wear their art on your skin proudly for the rest of your life, man. They should be having a conversation like this with you. That's somebody you can trust. If the first thing that they do is say, what do you want, and treat you like a fucking nuisance, well, matter of fact, no words on that, all right? We're going to move forward, and we're going to talk about the right way, the smart way to do research on tattoo artists, because nobody really puts this out there, and it's very hard to do. But this stuff for tattoo artists is fucking common sense, all right? So bear with me, all the ink slingers out there. I'm just gonna, share this to the masses. So it's like, when it comes to research, it can be kind of hard to do, right? Where do we start? How do we know? Like, your friends are gonna tell you to go to their artist. Your Google, so many different choices, right? Facebook, Instagram, so many different choices, so many different studios in your area. Where do you start, all right? Usually people start Googling. They start online, checking out portfolios, checking out reviews. And that's a good place to start, right? But at the same time, with so many reviews, sometimes the artist doesn't do the same style that you want. Sometimes they're not in the same area. Sometimes they do good artwork, but they got bad reviews. Like, there's so much mixed advice, from reviews to studios to artwork. And it's like, then you got to meet them in person. You got to drive to all these different places and feel the vibe and hope they don't got that weird rotation rule in them and all this other shit. It can be overwhelming. If you've read the last couple posts that I shared before this video, you'll be able to see, like, one of my clients, how they went about it. And most of my clients go about it the same way, and at some point they end up getting, like, just overwhelmed and confused, and getting really close to talking themselves out of getting the tattoo, or coming up with their own fucking things in their mind, and like their own judgments, their own assumptions before having a consultation. And then they either talk themselves out of getting the tattoo, Or they end up talking themselves into getting one by some middle-of-the-mall tattoo artist, fucking their shit up, and then telling me, hey, dude, I should have went to you. Or I went to them, and here's the fucking story that held me back from getting a tattoo masterpiece, and now I'm sitting with this. I just hear it every time, man. So, with like doing the research, all right, there's no easy way to do it. You're gonna it's a mixture of reviews, artwork, and the vibe in person. And for every person that you find good artwork for, you're gonna want to find good reviews, and you're gonna want to meet them in person, and hopefully the vibe works out well. If those three things hit, you might find a good artist that fits you. All right, if they don't have the rotation and the rule in their studio. However, 95% of tattoo studios do, so I would question that from the get-go and just fill out the vibe. But what I recommend, and what my business was built on, was me being frustrated working in all the tattoo studios from Utah to Miami in between, and just saying, you know what? Fuck this. Like, this is wrong. Instead of putting everybody in rotation and treating them like a fucking number, what I want to do is, first and foremost, I want to do styles that make me happy, because I know I can deliver on them. So that's number one. And number two, I want to make sure that the clients that come to me are wanting those styles. I don't have to talk them into them, because I don't like to convince nobody for nothing, man. If I got to convince you, I'm going to smoke a blunt and just not convince anybody. I'm going to keep going about my day. And so it's like, I don't convince myself for nobody. So it's like, so instead of like so it puts the artist in a good spot. And when it comes to you as a tattoo client, it makes it very simple and very easy and very fast to be able to get in for a consultation with one of our artists. Now, you're not going to get the tattoo very fast. We don't do walk-ins. But, by the way, that's one of the biggest mistakes to getting a tattoo your dreams. In another video, we'll talk about that. But how we do it is instead of doing a walk-in, we don't allow you to walk into the studio. Instead of walking into the studio, you don't even have to drive. You don't have to waste your time. You don't have to get overwhelmed with research. All you got to do is go to our website, click the button, fill out the form, give us your name, email, tell us what you want, why you want it, where you want it, all that stuff. And my consultation manager, May, which is in the Philippine Islands, she is around the clock, all hours a day. She's been trained by me, talk to her every day, and she is designed to fit you in and match you with the artist on our team, whether it's in Utah or Miami, that would do the very best job for you, because they are specialized in experience and style that you want and that you put into our form. So what this does is it takes all the guesswork and destroys it. It takes all of the confusion and frustration of trying to have to do your own research and the nervousness of getting a tattoo you regret. Throws it out the window, all right? It's the simplest, easiest way to get a tattoo that you're never going to regret and love for the rest of your life. And that is why we call Savage Tattoo the official matchmaker of tattoo studios, with the number one, setting the example of honest and good business practices, all right? I highly encourage all the tattoo studio owners watching this, step your practices up if they need to be. Do not delay for this until it's too late and clients just decide they want to go somewhere else. All right? Do good for your clients. Think of how you can always do better. Become obsessed with that thing. It's not a 40-hour-a-week job of thinking about how to improve your business. Owning a business is a lifestyle. It's a 24/7 hour job. I woke up at 5 motherfucking morning Miami time to do this. That's 3 a.m. Mountain time where my studio is. I want you guys to consider this, all right? Because every time, all right? We are tattoo artists. We are artists, which means we create. guess what? We get to create our own rules. We get to create our own prices. We get to create our own business. We get to create every fucking thing that's involved in our life. We're creators. Even if you're not an artist, you're a creator. You get to create your own decisions and create your own thoughts. You are a creator, all right? The problem is oftentimes we forget that. We forget, and when we create rules for ourselves and beliefs and stories as to why we can't get what we want or get to where we want to get, it's often because we created rules that don't align with supporting our own growth. Because rather than creating our own rules and diving deep and getting to know ourselves and what will work for us, we do it the lazy way. We say, hey, I need to listen to my mentor. I need to follow traditions. I need to do this. I need to do that. What are the people around me charging? How are they doing business? And that is when you start to follow a bunch of massive herds of fucking sheep, man. That's not how you're going to be able to. You do not get rules that work for your business by following other people's businesses. You have to find your own. All right, you have to do the due diligence. And the thing that I've noticed is, I talk to tattoo studio owners a lot, and it's interesting because oftentimes they don't see the problem in their studio with the way they're doing it. But if you're complaining about not having enough business, or your artists are, chances are the studio owner is the only one that can solve that. And if he doesn't, he's not seeing the problem. He's not seeing his position in the company. That's the position of a studio owner. They should not be sitting there tattooing their own clientele with a whole bunch of hungry artists in their studio, all right? I did that the first year in my business, and I almost gave it up because I didn't feel good being able to eat steak while my people are eating fucking snacks. What do you call those? Lunchables and fucking packed lunches from their house. That didn't feel good. I took it upon myself as a leader to my company to be able to create enough income, enough food for everybody to eat. And that's what I highly encourage all you studio owners to do. Now with tattoo collectors, people that want tattoos, if you jumped on here late, I highly encourage you to go check out this. It's pretty scattered, but we got a lot of good content here. Maybe somebody can drop a recap of some of the notes they got from this. But we went through some of the shady practices, the rotation rule in particular, that a lot of tattoo studios have. I also went through one of the big common mistakes that I see a lot of tattoo clients make with trying to be too hands-on on the process, not giving their artists creative freedom, and trying to judge what it would take before actually getting a consultation, because the whole point of a consultation is to get all of your questions answered as far as designing, scheduling, and pricing, all right? But you don't get those before then. So if you judge how the design's gonna look, when you can get it, and is this artist too much or not before you've done a consultation, you're making a big mistake, man. Holding yourself back from getting a tattoo that you'll really love. So don't do that. Instead, very simple. Get a consultation, and get a consultation from a studio that's going to match you with the artist that specializes in the style that you want. All right, y'all. My face is itching. Got to go get my workout in. Y'all have a great one. Peace.